instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past. Whatever they are, whatever you call them, ghosts, spirits, shades, specters, apparitions, there is not a corner of the world they do not inhabit.
I'm coming through.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Dangerous Podcast. We talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if you're going to haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. And tonight, we are kicking off spooky season with another fan favorite, part 3 of some of our favorite scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yes, the seminal work of horror fiction that, shaped so many us young monster kids back in the day, huh?
Yeah, yes. Yes, it's turned us into the best kind of husky horror dudes. And, it's still, I was telling Jay earlier, I was at work, I had it in my, my headphones on, listening to the books on tape to, go through and be like, all right, which ones do I want to use this time?
And they're all on YouTube, which is wonderful.
The second it went on, I immediately got the chills, just like thinking about how I felt when I was reading them as a kid and just how I still kind of feel reading them now.
Yeah, because it's reading them, hearing them, but then as soon as I see one of the illustrations, I'm like, okay, we're locked in.
Yeah, and a couple of these that I picked too are like based off of the picture merit, you know what I mean? That just like gets you in that zone of like,
Right.
Don't chase me with the pictures, Grandpapa.
Another window into Ken's childhood.
Yeah. Before we get into it, I just want, once again, the movie sucked so bad.
Yeah, it just misses the point, and it tries to be more about like it should have just been straight like anthology style. Yeah. I remember when they announced it, I was like, there's no way this could be good. The only way I thought it was going to be good is if they did like stop motion animation and did all the stories like that and made it like look more like his artwork. Yeah. It's, it's what it is. It's out there. It exists. When anyone ever asks me, is it any good? I say, don't watch it.
And then if they do,
I swear to God, if you watch it.
And then if they do, you say, don't touch me.
Right. Exactly.
Don't.
Yeah. You've lost all rights to touching for watching this movie. Also, this is our first October episode.
Yeah, woo!
Spooky season.
Woo!
Spooky on the couch.
Yeah.
Go birds.
On your couch, get spooky, go birds. At the Phil's playoffs. Also, another announcement. I guess we can say it here.
Yeah, hold on. Hush silence, because I'm going to hit us with it, and then we need some fanfare. Go.
I'm having a kid. Woo! Woo! Little Kenny Jr. on the way.
Yes.
Do this March.
K-Dubs.
Coming at you.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was my pleasure, as many fathers like to say. But yeah, it's kind of giving an insight onto why things have been spotty too. Usually it's easier to work around certain things, but you gotta be a little more attentive these days.
It's true. And Ken's wife is pregnant, not Ken.
Yeah, no, I don't have a butt baby. It's not in me. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations, sir. I know I've said it a million times off the air already, but congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Can't wait to spoil the shit out of that kid.
Yeah. It's going to be like, well, why am I covered from head to toe in Halloween stuff year round? It's going to be like, well, you live under my roof.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my rules.
Exactly.
Born in March. I don't care.
Dad, are we watching Haunt again? Yes.
Yes. Now watch as the poker goes into her eye.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You little pussy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah. We'll get the gist of it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But that being said, we're going to get on to our storytelling here. Now, if you've listened to this before, things get a little wacky as it goes on here, because we get
as it goes on. It sure.
Yeah. 'Tis the season, and we're gonna get into the spirit. But I'm gonna kick us off here with I can't believe I didn't do this one yet. But Aaron Kelly's bones.
Oh yeah.
Aaron Kelly was dead. They bought him a coffin and had a funeral and buried him. But that night, he got out of his coffin and came home. His family was sitting around the fire when he walked in. He sat down next to his widow and said, "What's going on? You're all acting like somebody died. Who's dead?" His widow said, "You are." "I don't feel dead," he said. "I feel fine." "You don't look fine," his widow said. "You look dead." "You'd better get back to the grave where you belong." "I'm not going back to the grave till I feel dead," he said. Since Aaron wouldn't go back, his widow couldn't collect his life insurance. Without that, she couldn't pay for the coffin, and the undertaker said he would take it back. Aaron didn't care. He just sat by the fire, rocking in his chair and warming his hands and feet. But his joints were dry, and his back was stiff, and every time he moved, he creaked and cracked. One night, the best fiddler in town came to court the widow. Since Aaron was dead, the fiddler wanted to marry her. The two of them sat on one side of the fire, and Aaron sat on the other side, creaking and cracking. "How long do we have to put up with this corpse?" the widow asked. "Something must be done," the fiddler said. "This isn't very jolly," Aaron said. "Let's dance." The fiddler got out his fiddle and began to play. Aaron stretched himself, shook himself, and got up, took a step or two, and began to dance, with his old bones rattling and his yellow teeth a-snapping and his bald head a-wagging, and his arms flip-flopping around and went, and around he went. With his long legs clinking and his knee bones knocking, he skipped and pranced around the room. Oh, how that dead man danced! But pretty soon, a bone worked loose and fell to the floor. "Look at that," said the fiddler. "Play faster," said the widow. The fiddler played faster. Crickety-crack, down and back, the dead man went hopping and his dry bones kept a-dropping. This way and that way, the pieces just kept popping. "Play, man, play!" cried the widow. Old bones rattling, yellow teeth snapping, bald head wagging, arms flip-flopping, long legs clicking, knee bones knocking, skipping and prancing round the room. Round and round and round the room. Crickety-crack, down and back, bones a-hopping, bones a-dropping, pieces popping round the room, round and round and round the room. The fiddler fiddled and dead Aaron danced. Then Aaron fell apart, collapsed into a pile of bones, all except his bald head bone that grinned at the fiddler and cracked its teeth and kept dancing. "Look at that!" groaned the fiddler. "Play louder!" cried the widow. "Ho, ho!" said the head bone. "Ain't we having fun?" The fiddler couldn't stand it. "Widow," he said, "I'm going home." And he never came back. The family gathered up Aaron's bones and put them back in the coffin. They mixed them up so he couldn't fit them back together again. After that, Aaron stayed in his grave, but his widow never did get married again, and Aaron had seen to that.
Beautiful. By way of Arthur Morgan.
Kind of, yeah. "Well, Dutch, Aaron Kelly, we couldn't put them back together, Dutch."
I always love that story because the picture is so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all weird, but like that one in particular, I was like, what the hell is this story about? And I purposely didn't read it till like one of the last stories when I first read it. Right. I remember because I was like, I don't want to know what the story's about because the picture's freaking me out and I want it to continue to freak me out. And it was nothing like, I didn't think it was a funny story. I didn't know it was going to be a funny story.
Yeah, so. You're like, context here would ruin this probably. And yeah, it's,
for
the
sure.
hands like falling off, it's like flying kind of off and his like knees not together. It's fucking wild, man.
But how great would that be? Come back from the grave, you're like, I'm not dead. I'm not. Really.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Kind of just rotting in your poor wife's,
living room, third wheel in the date,
Yeah, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, what the fuck is it?
And the fiddler's like, like, dude, come on, man. I've waited. I've waited so long, and here you are. He's like, just my luck. He's like, first the middle school dance, now this.
There it is.
It probably happened to him then, too. A dead, rotting boy came and was like, that's my day.
Oh, yeah. A head fell down the chimney. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep. And the movie, obviously, the one character, the jangly man they made up.
Yeah, I don't know. I was already in disgust. I had my hand over my face like this.
They added me, Ty Doty Walker, because he was saying, that. And then the head fell down, and then all the bones fell down and came together. So that was basically supposed to be Aaron Kelly's bones. I hate it.
Nope. It's... Yeah. It's bad. Yeah. All right. For my first selection, I'm going with a story from the first edition, a little tale called The Walk. My uncle was walking down a lonely dirt road one day. He came upon a man who also was walking down that road. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was scared of my uncle, and my uncle was scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and it began to get dark. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was very scared of my uncle, and my uncle was very scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and they came to a big woods. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was really scared of my uncle, and my uncle was really scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and deep down into the woods they went. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was terrible scared of my uncle, and my uncle was terrible scared of...
Got me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's actually based off an old Scottish little short story, little folk poem.
Poem.
Yeah, that's all. That was a fun one. I remember that one because a lot of times I would skip around when I would read them and read them.
Same.
And like
a mixtape.
And then eventually I'm like, let me read them all in a row.
Yep.
And I remember coming to that one and be like, oh, that's fun. That's one of those jump scare ones.
Yes.
I'm glad we have at least one of those here.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if this time I have anything to throw heavy reverb on though, and put it in the background. But yeah, that's a good one. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Trying to get the Halloweenkies going.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I got you. Halloweenkies. All right. In honor of playoff baseball starting, well, when you hear this, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And, for the Phillies anyway, because we made it again. Woo! I'm going to read the bad news. Leon and Todd loved baseball. When they were young, they had played on the town's baseball team. Leon had been the pitcher, and Todd had been second base. Now that they were a lot older, they spent their free time watching baseball games on TV and talking about baseball. You think they play baseball in heaven? Leon asked Todd one day. That's a good question, said Todd. The one who gets there first should let the other one know somehow. As it turned out, Todd got to heaven first, and Leon waited patiently to hear from him. One day, Leon found Todd sitting in the living room waiting for him. Leon was very excited to see him. Well, what's it like up there? He asked. And what about baseball? Well, when it comes to baseball, Todd said, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that we do play baseball in heaven. We have some fine teams. I play second base on my team just like I used to in the old days. That's the good news. Well, what's the bad news? Asked Leon. The bad news, said Todd, is that you're scheduled to pitch tomorrow. Love it.
And you love the little illustration too. These just two ghouls.
We got to get that, and we got to put the Phillies P on the hat and get that made into a T-shirt.
Absolutely.
Abso-friggin-lutely.
Abso-friggin-lutely. Gotta love the mix up of the sweet and salty in these stories.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. Yeah. You do. It's. Oh God, because a lot of times when it gets real dark in some of these, you kind of need that little like, all right, there is light at the end of this tunnel.
A little break in the ghoulishness. All right, for my next selection, we have The Guests. A young man and his wife were on a trip to visit his mother. Usually they arrived in time for supper, but they had gotten a late start, and now it was getting dark. So they decided to look for a place to stay overnight and go in the morning. Just off the road, they saw a small house in the woods. Maybe they rent rooms, the wife said. So they stopped to ask. Web of Lies. An elderly man and woman came to the door. They didn't rent rooms, they said, but they would be glad to have them stay overnight as their guests. They had plenty of room, and they would enjoy the company. The old woman made coffee and brought out some cake, and the four of them talked for a while. Then the young couple were taken to their room. They again explained that they wanted to pay for this, but the old man said he would not accept any money. The young couple got up early the next morning before their hosts had awakened. On a table near the front door, they left an envelope with some money in it for the room. Then they went on to the next town. They stopped in at a restaurant and had breakfast. When they told the owner where they had stayed, he was shocked. "That can't be," he said. "That house burned to the ground and the man and the woman who lived there died in the fire." The young couple could not believe it. So they went back to the house, only now there was no house. All they found was a burned out shell. They soon stared at the ruins, trying to understand what had happened. Then the woman screamed. In the rubble was a badly burned table, like the one they had seen by the front door. But on the table was the envelope they had left that morning.
Yeah.
Ghosts.
Yeah. Ghosts.
If you didn't realize, peeps, that those are ghosts.
Yeah. And the house was a ghost as well.
Ghost house, but not ghost envelope, because that was real.
Yes. Yes. That was there.
Or there was a murder-suicide right after they left, and it just happened to not burn the envelope.
Could have been one of those burn-proof envelopes that they make, you know?
Yeah. I've seen.
I've read about them.
I've got them.
My grandpa's getting me one next week, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My dad already has one.
Yeah, I have one in my basement somewhere. I don't even care about it because
I don't even care.
you don't even probably have one. You're probably lying, making it up. All right, gang.
Whatever.
For my next story, I chose The Wreck. Fred and Jeannie went to the same high school. They met for the first time at a Christmas dance. Fred had come by himself, and so had Jeannie. Soon, Fred decided that Jeannie was one of the nicest girls he had ever met. They danced together most of the evening. At 11 o'clock, Jeannie said, "I have to leave now. Can you give me a ride?" "Sure," he said. "I have to go home too." "I accidentally drove my car into a tree on the way over here," Jeannie said. "I guess I wasn't paying attention." Fred drove over to the head of Brady Road. It was in a neighborhood he didn't know very well. "Why don't you drop me off here?" Jeannie said. "The road up ahead is in really bad condition. I can walk from here." Fred stopped the car and held out some tinsel. "Have some," he said. "I got it at the dance." "Thank you," she said. "I'll put it in my hair." And she did. Big deal. "Would you like to go out sometime to a movie or something?" Fred asked. "That would be fun," Jeannie said. After Fred drove off, he realized that he did not know Jeannie's last name or her telephone number. "I'll go back," he thought. "The road can't be that bad." He drove slowly down Brady Road through the thick woods, but there wasn't a sign of Jeannie. As he came around a curve, he saw the wreckage of a car ahead. It had crashed into a tree and had caught on fire. Smoke was still rising from it. As Fred made his way to the car, he could see someone trapped inside, crushed against the steering column. It was Jeannie, and in her hair was the Christmas tinsel he had given her. Ghosts. Ghosts.
Yes, that sounds like something that would have been on like Unsolved Mysteries.
Right.
It has that very.
It's like the hitchhiker ghost kind of deal, but this time there was like the romantic bond. It's like the one story where it's like they met at the dance, he dropped her off at the door, she's, and then come back the next day. She's been dead for 13 years.
Yeah, Resurrection Mary.
Yeah, right. It's good stuff, man.
Your hands are like ice. It must mean you have a warm heart.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck, guys? We gotta drop this a little bit. Not again. Robert Stack was like, I'm leaving the fucking show if we do any more bullshit like that. He had a reputation to uphold, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
All right. Well, thank you for that one, sir.
You're welcome, buddy.
It's cute. So my next selection is an abridged version, and I obviously didn't know when I was a kid, of the famous Algernon Blackwood story, The Wendigo.
Let's go.
A much shorter version.
Let's Wendigo. Wendigo riff.
There it is. I quit the podcast. I'm out here.
Yeah, fucking right.
Come on, man. I can't quit you.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to quit you.
The Wendigo. A wealthy man wanted to go hunting in a part of northern Canada where few people had ever hunted. He traveled to a trading post and tried to find a guide to take him, but no one would do it. It was too dangerous, they said. Finally, he found an Indian who needed money badly, and he agreed to take him. The Indian's name was Defago. They made camp in the snow near a large frozen lake. For 3 days they hunted, but they had nothing to show for it. The third night, a windstorm came up. They lay in their tent listening to the wind howling and the trees whipping back and forth. To see the storm better, the hunter opened the tent flap. What he saw startled him. There wasn't a breath of air stirring, and the trees were standing perfectly still, yet he could hear the wind howling. And the more he listened, the more it sounded as if it were calling Defago's name. Defago, it called. Defago, it called. I must be losing my mind, the hunter thought. But Defago had gotten out of his sleeping bag. He was huddled in a corner of the tent, his head buried in his arms. What's this all about? The hunter asked. It's nothing, Defago said. But the wind continued to call to him, and Defago became more tense and more restless. Defago, it called. Defago! Suddenly, he jumped to his feet, and he began to run from the tent, but the hunter grabbed him and wrestled him to the ground. You can't leave me out here, the hunter shouted. Then the wind called again, and Defago broke loose and ran into the darkness. The hunter heard him screaming as he went. Again and again he cried, Oh, my fiery feet! My burning feet of fire! Then his voice faded away, and the wind died down. At daybreak, the hunter followed Defago's tracks in the snow. They went through the woods, down toward the lake, then out onto the ice. But soon he noticed something strange. The steps Defago had taken got longer and longer. They were so long no human being could have taken them. It was as if something had helped him to hurry away. The hunter followed the tracks out to the middle of the lake, but they had disappeared. At first, he thought that Defago had fallen through the ice, but there wasn't any hole. Then he thought that something had pulled him off the ice into the sky, but that made no sense. As he stood wondering what had happened, the wind picked up again. Soon it was howling as it had done the night before. Then he heard Defago's voice again. It was coming from up above, and again he heard Defago screaming, My fiery feet! My burning feet! But there was nothing to be seen. Now the hunter wanted to leave the place as fast as he could. He went back to the camp and packed. Then he left some food for Defago and he started out. Weeks later, he reached civilization. The following year, he went back to hunt in that area again. He went to the same trading post to look for a guide. The people there could not explain what had happened to Defago that night, but they had not seen him since. Maybe it was the Wendigo, one of them said, and he laughed. It's supposed to come with the wind. It drags you along at great speed until your feet are burned away, and more of you than that. Then it carries you into the sky, and it drops you. It's just a crazy story, but that's what some of the Indians say. A few days later, the hunter was at the trading post again. An Indian came in and sat by the fire. He had a blanket wrapped around him, and he wore his hat so that he couldn't see his face. The hunter thought there was something familiar about him. He walked over and said, Are you Defago? The Indian didn't answer. Do you know anything about him? No answer. He began to wonder if something was wrong, if the man needed help, but he couldn't see his face. Are you all right? He asked. No answer. To get a look at him, he lifted the Indian's hat. Then he screamed. There was nothing under the hat but a pile of ashes.
Defago.
Now, I thought they were talking about the soda.
Yeah.
Fago?
Yeah, Fago.
Did you get to Defago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Orange Defago.
Dude, that's one of my favorites I remember the first time I read that one because the picture was like, dude, what is this? You see like it looks like bloody footprints in the snow. Mm-hmm. Always a banger.
Yeah, it's totally a banger. Go see our episode about the Wendigo. It's a good one. Mm-hmm. Now, do we think that it took him into the sky?
It did something to him.
Yeah, because he's now ashes, or was that the Wendigo?
I think the Wendigo likes to fuck with people. So maybe it just, it was there to fuck with that guy.
It's a good assumption.
And I'm going to assume that he descended into insanity after he saw that sight and he was taken off somewhere. Or maybe he ran out into the wilderness when he saw the ashes and then he was taken up into the sky by the Wendigo. Don't know.
We'll never know.
We won't.
We won't know.
Unless we go out there and poke around.
Yeah, and then write an awesome folklore book. Or a series of books. All right, on to my next one.
Do it.
Alligators. Oh, yeah. A young woman in town married a man from another part of the country. He was a nice fellow, and they got along pretty well together. There was only one problem. Every night, he'd go swimming in the river. Sometimes he'd be gone all night long, and she would complain about how lonely she was. The couple had 2 young sons, and as soon as the boys could walk, their father began to teach them how to swim. And when they got to be old enough, he took them swimming in the river at night. Often, they would stay there all night long, and the young woman would stay home all by herself. After a while, she began to act in a strange way. At least, that's what the neighbors said. She told them that her husband was turning into an alligator, and that he was trying to turn the boys into alligators. Everyone told her that there was nothing wrong with the man taking his son swimming. That was a natural thing to do, and when it came to alligators, there just weren't any nearby. Everyone knew that. Early one morning, the young woman came running into town from the direction of the river. She was soaking wet. She said a big alligator and 2 little alligators had pulled her in and tried to get her to eat raw fish. They were her husband and her sons, she said, and they wanted her to live with them, but she had gotten away. Her doctor decided that she had lost her mind, and he had her put into a hospital for a while. After that, nobody saw her husband and boys again. They just disappeared. But now and then, fishermen would tell people about seeing alligators in the river at night. Usually, it was 1 big alligator and 2 small ones. But people said they were just making it up. Everybody knows there aren't any alligators around here. Not ghosts.
Not ghosts. That's some kind of like, they worship some kind of swamp god and it got turned into alligators.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, that one always, like them trying to take her and like come live with us, that always freaked me out. I don't know why that stayed with me, like...
Because where are they going?
Yeah, they're out there, and like they're...
Yeah.
And like, oh, the guy's from like another part of the country. It was like, well, this guy's not from another part of the country. This guy's a were-gator. Walligator.
A were-gator. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's fucking nuts.
It is. Or he's like a skinwalker that turns into a gator.
Right.
He's teaching the kids how.
Right. Yeah, that's weird, man.
Great story, though.
It is
and as per usual, the illustration that goes with it is just, paints the picture for you.
Yeah, like the human hand on the gator.
Yeah. Love it.
It is. It's wonderful.
Love it, love it. Okay. Next for me is The Hook.
Classic.
Oh, so
classic alert.
Donald and Sarah went to the movies. Then they went for a ride in Donald's car. They parked up on a hill at the edge of town. From there, they could see the lights up and down the valley. Donald turned on the radio and found some music, but an announcer broke in with a news bulletin. A murderer had escaped from the state prison. He was armed with a knife and was headed south on foot. His left hand was missing. In its place, he wore a hook. "Let's roll up the windows and lock the doors," said Sarah. "That's a good idea," said Donald. "That prison isn't too far away," said Sarah. "Maybe we really should go home." "But it's only 10 o'clock, said Donald. "I don't care what time it is," she said. "I want to go home." Look, Farah, said Donald. He's not going to climb all the way up here. Why would he do that? Even if he did, all the doors are locked. How could he get in? Donald, he could take that hook and break through a window and open a door, she said. I'm scared. I want to go home. Donald was annoyed. Girls are always afraid of something, he said.
Yeah.
As he started the car, Sarah thought she heard something or someone scratching at her door. Did you hear that? She asked as they rolled away. It sounded like somebody was trying to get in.
Yeah, someone was.
Oh, sure, said Donald. Soon they got to her house. Would you like to come in and have some cocoa? She asked. No, he said. I've got to go home. He ran around to the other side of the car to let her out. Hanging on the door handle was a hook.
Classic.
Very classic.
Yeah.
You didn't know Donald had a list, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know a lot about that couple. What do you think they were parked up trying to do? What do you think was what was Donald trying to do out there?
He was trying to,
burst a nerd?
I'm not going to say, huh?
Burst a nerd?
Or maybe it was like a third, fourth, fifth date kind of situation. He was trying to,
touch some boob?
Or, frick her in the bird.
No, bird furk. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you never know.
You never know. Donald is a wild one.
Seriously. And he's, he's a little questionable.
It's true. It's true. Because, she was initiating later, too. Do you want to come in and have some caca? Now we're out of the scary place. And he didn't.
Yeah, she had her excitement, and now she's like, my parents are home, so I know, nothing crazy can happen.
Yeah.
You can't try anything nuts, try to,
Well, you could have a nice little makeout sesh. Maybe it's like a basement situation, you don't know. And
I don't know.
He could have, he did have a chance. And he's like, oh, you gotta go home.
Right.
This boner's killing me.
I want to flash back to the killer writhing in agony with the hook that got ripped out of his stump.
Right.
He's like, ah!
Bleeding out profusely.
Yep. They just find, Meanwhile, dumb Donald's just driving in his car.
Yeah. How's he gonna get in? The doors are locked.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Me too. All right.
Right.
My next one. We're going back to some maritime ghost stories here, buddy.
Maritime.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
This one is called A Weird Blue Light.
Good one.
Late one October in 1864, a Confederate blockade runner slipped by some Union gunboats at the entrance of the Galveston Bay in Texas, and it made it safely to port with its cargo of food and other necessities. Lewis Billings, the master of the small vessel, was getting ready to weigh anchor when he was startled by a shriek from one of the crew. A strange old-fashioned schooner with a big black flag was running down at us, Billings said later. She was afire with a sort of weird pale blue light that lighted up every nook and cranny of her. The crew was pulling at the ropes and doing other work, and they paid us no attention. They didn't even glance our way. They all had these ghastly bleeding wounds, but their faces and eyes were those of dead men. The man who had shrieked had fallen to his knees, his teeth chattering, and he gasped out a prayer. Overcoming my own terror, that was chilling me to the very marrow of my bones, I rushed forward, shouting to the others as I ran. Suddenly, the schooner vanished before my eyes. Some say that it was the ghost of Jean Lafayette's pirate ship, the Pride, that sank off Galveston Island in 1821 or 1822. She was seen again in 1892 in the same waters with the same crew.
Chilling.
It is chilling. I love that shit.
Oh, no. Ghost lights out at sea.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Yeah, and
ghost ship.
As the light hit them, it was showing that, the actual ghosts in their faces. You could see when the light hit, there was ghosts on the ship. It's awesome.
Remember, whenever we did that episode about lost ships and stuff, there was that estimation that at any given time there's about 25 ghost ships on the ocean. That's nuts.
It is nuts. It's so.
And by ghost ships, we mean, unmanned vessels. We have with possible dead bodies inside or whatever.
I'm sure most of them have dead bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, obviously, this little bit of folklore, made its way over to Disney in the form of, Pirates of the Caribbean 1. When they get in the moonlight, it shows, the really corpses and everything. So, I just the picture of this, dude. Come on.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. It's pure mood.
Oh yeah.
Sail away. Come on, I was handed to you. I thought you were going to go for Sail Away.
I always have to start. That's how it starts. The Return of Innocence. Then we'll go to Sail Away.
It's true. That's the immortal banger.
Yeah. Then the X-Files theme, and then Tubular Bells.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, that was Unsolved Mysteries. No, Tubular Bells is
It doesn't sound like that. That's how it just. That's how I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't have bell sounds in my mouth. I can't do it.
No. Oh.
No.
Oh shit. All right. Well.
Sorry to let you down, buddy.
No, you just learn something new every day. You think you know a guy.
Yeah. You think you did.
We were on our way home from dinner, and I was like, "Hey, babe, you know what's cool about Jay?" She smells like bell sounds in his mouth. That is cool.
But then,
no.
But then you just found out it's not true.
Now I have to go out there and talk to her and my unborn child. And Jay doesn't have bell sounds in his mouth.
Both who are digesting cheesesteaks.
Oh
right now.
yeah, dude. Fuck. Can't say the name. Don't want to offend possible, sponsor later. I don't know.
Right.
All I can say is they're both in 2 counties, so
At first, I thought you were talking about the name of your child, but he's talking about the name of the establishment.
Yeah, not the child. Yeah, the establishment. The child is Little Kenny. We call him Little Hoagie right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
K-Dub.
Yeah, K-Dub also. It's gaining steam.
It is.
Funny, my mom, when I was visiting her earlier, she was like, "Gotta have a good nickname," and I was like, "Oh, that's been going. That's been hearing that a lot." She's like, "Well, what?"
I'm just looking at her in the face, like it's K-Dub, Jared.
Yeah. She also hit me with today. I just wish I had time to listen to your podcast.
Why? No, you don't.
I was like, we talk about you all the time, Mom.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. So you're missing out. You want to feel loved? Go check out the podcast.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned her throwing shoes up the stairs at your bedroom door in a few episodes.
It's literally been like 2.
Right, and now here we are. We just met the quota again.
Days since mentioning shoe at door 0.
All right. The next tale that I've selected, with such a great illustration, The Bride. The minister's daughter had just gotten married. After the wedding ceremony, there was a great feast with music and dancing and contests and games, even old children's games. When they got to playing hide and seek, the bride decided to hide in her grandfather's trunk up in the attic. "They'll never find me there," she thought. As she was climbing into the trunk, the lid came down and cracked her on the head, and she fell unconscious inside. The lid slammed shut and locked. No one will ever know how long she called for help or how hard she struggled to free herself from that tomb. Everyone in the village searched for her, and they looked almost everywhere, but no one thought of looking in the trunk. After a week, her brand new bridegroom and all the others gave up her for lost. Years later, a maid went up into the attic looking for something that she needed. "Maybe it's in the trunk," she thought. She opened it and screamed. There lay the missing bride in her wedding dress, but by then she was only a skeleton.
Classic alert.
Yes. Why wouldn't you check the place that would perfectly fit a human body?
I think what really happened, if I put my forensic hat on.
Murdered.
Yeah, the husband murdered her for the money.
Corpse bride situation.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's actually based on a real story.
It is.
Yeah. Murdered. Yeah, totally murdered. Totally murdered. Verdict in the bird. Now, my next story. I like the story.
Yep.
The picture is what the fuck is going on. I have after I tell, we'll talk about it. But it had to be brought up just so people will go and look at this fucking picture. But
Okay.
my story is, oh, Susanna. Susanna and Jane shared a small apartment near the university where they were students. While Susanna got back from the library one night, the lights were out and Jane was asleep. Susanna undressed in the dark and quietly got into bed. She'd almost fallen asleep when she hears someone humming the tune to Oh Susanna. Jane, she said, please stop humming. I want to go to sleep. Jane didn't answer, but the humming stopped and Susanna fell asleep. She awakened early the next morning, too early, and she decided she was going to try to get some more sleep when she heard the humming again. Please go back to sleep, she told Jane. It's too early to get up. Jane didn't answer, but the humming continued. Susanna became angry. Get out, she said. It's not funny. When the humming still did not stop, she lost her temper. She jumped out of bed, pulled the covers off Jane, and screamed. Jane's head was gone. Somebody had cut off her head. I'm having a nightmare, Susanna told herself. When I wake up, everything will be all right.
I'm having a nightmare.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, this picture was, I don't know,
dude,
drug fueled.
Yeah, like
when he made this one.
So it's like, all right, so you have what seems to be the moon and a eclipsing other planet in the back. I don't know. You have someone in a rocking chair, holding
on to a night gaunt.
Yeah, a night gaunt or a
flying polyp, maybe.
Yeah, or like a Fezziwig turnip. I don't know. That's just what I could come up with looking at it. And then above it,
a flying tuma.
Yeah, above it in the very high up. Is it the alligator from Alligators? What is that?
It's like a skull reptilian. It's a reptilian shapeshifter.
Okay, and did Alvin Schwartz think that possibly the head was taken from someone who knew like old songs? What the fuck is this picture?
I don't know. We'd have to ask Stephen Gamble, but he doesn't take calls.
Oh, Stephen Gamble. Yeah, I said Schwartz. Sorry. Yeah, Stephen Gamble. Yeah, you were talking... yeah. I meant Gamble. Sorry, yeah. Alvin Schwartz.
Are you aware of his weirdness?
We've talked about it. I've seen some stuff.
He's a recluse. Yeah. He won't do any interviews.
If this is your art,
do you think this is how he sees the world? I hope so.
Well, here's the deal. If that is true, I don't know how he would convert it to like the page, if that makes sense.
No, he doesn't. It's just like Samara in The Ring. He just makes them. The images just appear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if
they're like, oh yeah, they're pencil. He's just like,
maybe he was just like trying to like draw. Like they're like, here's a refrigerator. Can you paint us this refrigerator? And that's what came out. Yeah. And that's what that's what a refrigerator looks like to him.
Yeah, maybe.
Fucking wild.
Or they just read the story. He was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Came up with it.
Or he was running out of time on the deadline, and he's like, here's when I drew fucking 7 years ago.
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna put a fucking weird looking tumor looking thing on here. Fuck yeah. With a grandma getting pulled in. Fuck yeah.
Oh, Susanna.
Like, what does this need up top? A skull alligator monster ghost? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. They're like, we need something for inspiration for the movie Poltergeist years later. You know? So can you do that and send this in time so that thing that comes out of the closet kind of looks like this?
Kind of,
without the neck.
Kind of. Yeah.
It's wild. It's the weirdest fucking picture I think I've ever seen in my fucking life.
It's one of the dude. These are all like, this is like just flipping through a book of like every picture is an Academy Award winner. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Right, but the deal is too, like, a lot of them, you're like, oh yeah, right, yeah, this is what this is.
It's very evocative.
It's like it goes, two skeleton baseball players. Got it. The red spot, spiders pouring out of the face. Even that is a fucking weird bubbly ghost. You know?
And you know the literal interpretation ones that you're talking about. He hated doing those ones. He's like, ugh. He's like, I just want to just trip balls and just draw.
Yeah. He probably like makes his own mushrooms out of like his own shit, and just like ferments it in the shower.
That's a hot take, and you know what? I think it's true.
I'm gonna go with it. Or he does that stuff where like they put the pee and the poop in the jars and make that huffing gas out of it. That's a thing. It's wild.
Oh boy.
for art like this, dude, I think we're getting close.
I bet he's the most normal person ever, and he's tired of people like asking him where these dark, twisted visions occur, and he's just like, I just draw them.
He's like, ask Glenn Hetrick. I don't.
Oof, don't ask him anything.
He knows.
Oof. Dude, that's like, I think you brought him up last episode too. That'll do.
I don't know if I got it in me, pal. I love talking about that fucking lunatic.
I guess.
Go check out season 15 of Face Off. No, I'm just kidding.
Isn't it over? It's all the way over.
I don't think so. I think they brought it back.
Did they? I haven't watched Sci-Fi Channel since 2000.
It's on a different channel now. It's not even on Sci-Fi anymore. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up in our catalog of spookiness this evening, one of my personal favorites, The Window.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the picture accompanying this. Margaret and her brothers, Paul and David, shared a small house on top of a hill just outside the village. It was so warm one summer's night that Margaret could not sleep. She sat up in bed in the darkness of her room, watching the moon move across the sky. Suddenly, something caught her eye. She saw 2 small, yellow-green lights moving through the woods near the graveyard at the bottom of the hill. Can we get a Wendigo riff? Thank you. They looked like the eyes of some animal, but she could not make out what kind of creature it was. Soon the creature left the woods and moved up the hill towards the house. For a few minutes, Margaret lost sight of it. Then she saw it coming across the lawn toward her window. It looked something like a man, and yet it didn't. Margaret was terrified. She wanted to run from her room, but the door was next to her window. She was afraid the creature could see her and break in before she could escape. When the creature turned and moved in another direction, Margaret rushed to the door. But before she could open the door, it was back. Margaret found herself staring through the window at a shrunken face like that of a mummy. Its yellow-green eyes gleamed like a cat's eyes. She wanted to scream, but she was so frightened that she could not make a sound. The creature broke the window glass, unlocked the window, and crawled inside. Margaret tried to flee, but the creature caught her. It twisted its long, bony fingers into her hair, pulled back her head, and sank its teeth into her throat. Margaret screamed and fainted. When her brothers heard her piercing scream, they rushed to her room, but by the time they got the door unlocked, the creature had fled. Margaret lay on the floor bleeding and unconscious. While Paul tried to stop the bleeding, David chased the creature down the hill toward the graveyard, but soon he lost sight of it.
David's a badass.
Balls of steel. The police thought it was the work of an escaped lunatic who believed he was a vampire. When Margaret recovered, her brothers wanted to move to a safer place where it could be harder to break in. But Margaret refused. The creature would never come back. She was sure of that. But just in case, Paul and David began to keep loaded pistols in their rooms.
Yeah.
One night, months later, Margaret was awakened by a scratching sound at the window. When she opened her eyes, there was the same shrunken face staring in at her. That night, her brothers heard her cries in time. They chased the creature down the hill and David shot it in the leg, but the creature managed to scramble over the graveyard wall and disappeared near an old burial vault. The next day, Margaret and her brothers watched as the sexton of the church opened the burial vault. Inside was a horrifying scene. Broken coffins, bones, and rotting flesh were scattered all over the floor. Only one coffin had not been disturbed. When the sexton opened it, there lay the creature with the shrunken face that had attacked Margaret. The telltale bullet was in its leg. They did the only thing they knew to rid themselves of a vampire. The sexton built a roaring blaze outside the vault and fed the shrunken body to the flames. They watched the body burn until nothing remained but ashes.
Oh yeah. One thing I do want to right off the bat, the color of the eyes.
Yeah.
Yellow green. It's such a choice that like visually in your head you can see it. A lot of times, like, oh, the color of this and that, like when they mix colors together, it's like hard to kind of like put it in there. Fucking the yellow green, I know it's almost like goldish, glowy with like a. Whew.
And the great detail about that is that so it has eye shine.
Yeah.
So that means it has night vision.
Right.
So
yeah.
And they even make the analogy of the like a cat's eyes.
Right.
So,
love it.
Dude, gotta love it, and gotta love the old school revenant type vampires, the ones that were literally just rotting corpses that were coming back to just suck the life force from the living.
Yeah, and it's a rare. This one is really different than most of the stories in this kind of like.
Yes.
It has a different feeling. There are a couple, especially in the 3rd edition of the series, that kind of don't feel as connected to the rest. But this one is so good. Like the mentioning of how it had like a mummy's face and one of its long fingers wrapped in her hair, like that's a visual that's like, oh, you're trapped. And then it biting and sinking its teeth into her. That's I don't know. It's a very different kind of feel to this story than
it's dirty. It's not a sexy vampire.
Yeah.
It's a rotting corpse that's who knows how old it is. And I love that they even go back to the burial vault.
Yeah.
And that broken coffins and bones and rotting flesh scattered all over, like, was it trying to gnaw on other bodies? Like, it's just it's such a good time.
It's funny, I wrote it down because I was like listening to the books on tape earlier while working, and I was like going over just like, okay, this one, writing it down and going back to work, and this was on my list, and then I had to double check your list, and I was like, all right, nope, that one's gone. And such a good one.
Reminds me of the Drexel Hill Ghoul.
That's
been some news on that. It's probably going to be released real soon.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's new to us. But we were finding out more and more about that by the week, so that's cool. I can't wait to keep reporting on what we find out about that. Well, we'll take it to a lighter note here. My next story is called Strangers. A man and a woman happened to sit next to each other on a train. The woman took out a book and began reading. The train stopped at a half a dozen stations, but she never looked up once. The man, watching her for a while, then asked, "What are you reading?" "It's a ghost story," she said. "It's very good, very spooky." "Do you believe in ghosts?" he asked. "Yes, I do," she replied. "There are ghosts everywhere." "I don't believe in them," he said. "It's just a lot of superstition. In all my years, I've never seen a ghost, not one." "Haven't you?" the woman said, and vanished. And the picture of this is, on the nose. It's basically Eric Clapton on a like a bench in a train with a floating book with the vapors coming down from it.
Kicking his kid out the window.
Yeah. So there's tears from heaven dropping off this book. Yeah, this guy looks really drunk.
And he's Don Fry style, just backward roll, kicking his kid out.
Yeah. You know how do you get rid of someone really quickly?
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn.
I thought we were getting a little lighthearted here. That's.
Well, we got to. It's the balance, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. No. I like this one. It's a quick little
little ditty.
Little ditty. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And our clapping goes. All right. So, on to your next story, my friend.
All right. A very short one, but one that gave me chills. Peter James.
I'm coming.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't heard from that fuck in a long time.
No, you know why? Because my kids don't think he's funny anymore. So I like the video. I don't randomly see them watching his videos.
He's gone, dude. He is gone. It doesn't.
Is he gone?
I'm pretty. Well, nothing pops up. Like if he still has followers, or if they still promote him.
Yeah.
Like they were.
Yeah.
You couldn't type GH in YouTube without it being like, chill, stop that.
Yeah.
Number 50.
Burger King foot lettuce. As soon as you typed it in. I'm hoping he's one of those situations where hey, where's he been? Oh, he's probably taking a break, and they find out that he died in his house and like all his cats ate him, and there's just a skeleton left. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no redemption story for that guy from Jay, huh? All right.
No. Or like something like even worse, like gerbils ate him to death because he would have gerbils, and you know why.
I know where he would store them.
I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with that.
It's okay. Spooky season. We're kicking off spooky season. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
You said it the other night. We're turning into our October selves, or October forms.
We have yes, our October bodies. Yeah, it's spooky wookie season. Apparently, said the guy at Target the other day when we were checking out.
How many times did you stab him?
I wanted to murder him in like right there, but Christina was like, "No, he's nice." I'm like, "He's not." I'm like, "No." He's like, "You guys getting ready for spooky wookie season?" I was like, "Is this guy fucking serious?" And then, you know, he kind of had that vibe of like, he didn't drive to work, like someone dropped him off, like that kind of vibe. You know,
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Picture received.
Yes, it was weird, and now it's just in my mind, spooky wookie season, and I can't.
You know what'll help you?
What's that?
Another scary story to tell in the dark.
Perfect. I got one.
Get out of town.
It's called The Appointment. A 16-year-old boy worked on his grandfather's horse farm. One morning, he drove a pickup truck into town on an errand. While he was walking along the main street, he saw death. And death beckoned to him. The boy drove back to the farm as fast as he could and told his grandfather what had happened. "Give me the truck," he begged. "I'll go to the city. He'll never find me there." His grandfather gave him the truck, and the boy sped away. After he left, his grandfather went into town looking for Death. When he found him, he asked, "Why did you frighten my grandson that way? He's only 16. He's too young to die." "I'm sorry about that," said Death. "I did not mean to beckon to him, but I was surprised to see him here. You see, I have an appointment with him this afternoon in the city." Yeah, and then this story, 42-year-old man, this story scared the shit out of me the other day because of our previous episode when I told you that story. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, the picture, the accompanying picture is, it's so good. There needs to be a new riff for that.
Dude, we need like, I don't know, like the death riff.
Well, we're gonna have to find it.
Yeah.
I'll find something, but
we'll pull it out of the spooky wookie depths there, Ken. I'm sorry.
Don't do this to us.
Yeah, don't do this.
Oof, spooky wookie is indeed right.
Yeah.
Of course, the kid, he's like, "I'll go to the city. You won't find me in the city."
But also, what the fuck is the Grim Reaper just doing hanging downtown? Is he getting a coffee? Like, is he getting, like, his fucking car worked on? Like, what's he doing down there?
I imagine he just saunters, kind of.
You think he's a sauntery guy?
Yeah, I think he knows when his appointments are, and like he'll be there. Like, because he's on his way to the city, and he's, kind of just steady getting his pace, and while the kid's on his way to the city, by the time he gets there later, will be the time for the appointment. And he was on his way to the city when, the grandfather was like, "Yo, hey, Death, the fuck?"
Yeah, and Death was like, "Hey, I'm coming for you next Tuesday, so why don't you chill the fuck out?"
"You die, grandfather." Last action hero.
Right. Yes.
But I don't know. I think he's a man of his own pace, and he just takes, mine.
Or if you're to believe what the internet tells us, Death is just playing at a claw machine game all the time,
right.
just getting people.
Those games are really hard, so I don't...
Yeah. I don't know either. No. But speaking of Death, we should mark the occasion a little bit, because I was saddened. One of my favorite movies of all time is Coming to America.
Yeah, it's tough.
And we lost...
The founder of McDonald's.
Before that, we lost James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
The OG. Well, dude, countless credits. The voice of Darth Vader. Thulsa motherfucking Doom. Field of Dreams. Mufasa. I mean, the list is just... And then, of course, King Jaffe Joffer from...
Coming to America.
Coming to America. And then yesterday, right?
Yeah.
The day before yesterday?
It was yesterday.
John Amos.
Yeah.
John Amos, Mr. McDowell himself with the burger phone.
Day before that,
Yeah.
the voice of Oogie Boogie.
Ken, it's a Ken, I believe.
He also was the alligator in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Right,
Let's
right.
make music together. That shit, yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's the Oogie Boogie song. But those two guys, you know, obviously, you know.
Oh, dude, the guy,
Mr. Oogie Boogie.
the guy from American Picker.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, it doesn't really
I was
stack
like,
up.
oh no,
But it just,
back to the other guys.
it really upset me because Coming to America, one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time. Now those two titans
Yeah.
are gone, and then I put it on and I watched the scene. I'm like, oh man,
McDonald's, Golden Arches.
Yeah. There's people here to see
The
you.
Golden Ark.
They're not from McDonald's, are they? So fucking good. I'm sorry.
We don't have the sesame seed bun. Yeah, no, great movie. R.I.P. to those legends.
Yes.
But with every loss comes a new. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either.
all right, so on to my last story here. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this tale Sounds. The house near the beach. It was a big old place where nobody had lived for years. From time to time, someone would force open a window or a door and spend the night in there, but never longer. 3 fishermen caught in a storm took shelter there one night. With some dry wood they found inside, they made a fire in the fireplace. They lay down on the floor and tried to get some sleep, but none of them slept that night. First, they heard footsteps upstairs. It sounded like there was several people moving back and forth. When one of the fishermen called, "Who's up there?" The footsteps stopped. Then they heard a woman scream. The scream turned into a groan and died away. Blood began to drip from the ceiling into the room where the fishermen had huddled. A small red pool formed on the floor and soaked into the wood. A door upstairs crashed shut, and again the woman screamed. "Not me!" she cried. It sounded as if she was running, her high heels tapping wildly down the hall. "The man shouted, and the floor shook as he chased her. Then silence. There wasn't a sound until the man who had shouted began to laugh. Long peals of horrible laughter filled the house. It went on and on until the fishermen thought that they would go mad. When finally it stopped, the fishermen heard someone coming down the stairs, dragging something heavy that bumped on each step. They heard him drag it through the front hall and out the front door. The door opened, then slammed shut again. Silence. Suddenly, a flash of lightning filled the house with a green blaze of light. A ghastly face stared at the fishermen from the hallway. Then came a crash of thunder. Terrified, they ran out into the storm. Ghosts.
One of those guys was Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the other was a Brit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that accent came from, because I knew.
No, I feel like that was the same crew of people that saw the Ghost ship too, like same guys, just like another week later or some shit.
Yeah, sure.
Or later in their lives, they're like, "Hey, remember that fucking Ghost ship?"
Yeah. Hey, let's break into this house and sleep.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so for my last selection of the evening, this is one of the ones I probably should have picked the first or second time, but
Right.
this one's entitled "The Dream." And this is one of the famous pictures. So famous that they made this one of the focal points of that terrible movie. The very strange-looking, portly woman with the black eyes coming down the hallway, that's not even how it happens in the story.
Yeah, and then like the noise is like, oh, I can't even do the fucking stupid noise they made.
Yeah,
I want to kill that movie. If I could kill
seriously.
that movie, I would kill that.
I don't know. Maybe this creature and Harold should have like a battle royale. I'd watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Like replace King Kong versus Godzilla with those two.
Yeah, with
What do you think?
portly woman and Harold. Homely, portly woman.
Yeah.
/
With the red nose. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So, The Dream. Lucy Morgan was an artist. Gotta watch out for those too.
Yeah.
Flaky as fuck. She had spent a week painting in a small country town and decided that the next day she would move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was walking up a dark, carved staircase and entered a bedroom. It was an ordinary room except for two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trap doors, and each of the windows was fastened shut with big nails that stuck up out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in that bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face and black eyes and long black hair came into the room. She leaned over the bed and whispered, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." When the woman touched her arm to hurry her along, Lucy Morgan awakened from her dream with a shriek. She lay awake the rest of the night, trembling. In the morning, she told her landlady that she decided not to go to Kingston after all. "I can't tell you why," she said, "but I just can't bring myself to go there." "Then why don't you go to Dorset?" the landlady said. "It's a pretty town, and it isn't too far." So Lucy Morgan went to Dorset. Someone told her she could find a room in a house at the top of the hill. It was a pleasant-looking house, and the landlady there, a plump, motherly woman, was as nice as could be. "Let's look at the room," she said. "I think you will like it." They walked up a dark, carved staircase, like the one in Lucy's dream. In these old houses, the staircases are all the same, Lucy thought. But when the landlady opened the door to the bedroom, it was the room in her dream, with the same carpet that looked like trapdoors, and the same windows fastened with big nails. "This is just a coincidence," Lucy told herself. "How do you like it?" the landlady asked. "I'm not sure," she said. "Well, take your time," the landlady said. "I'll bring up some tea while you think about it." Lucy sat on the bed staring at the trapdoors and the big nails. Soon there was a knock on the door. "It's the landlady with the tea," she thought. But it wasn't the landlady. It was the woman with the pale face and the black eyes and the long black hair. Lucy Morgan grabbed her things and fled.
As she should have.
And that is the problem with aliens.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that's dreams coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of psychic abilities here in this one.
Yeah. And, the place is evil. She told her to flee.
Do you think that the big lady was going to cook and eat her?
No. I think she was going to, straight up just, open her mouth and unhinge her jaw and just put the girl in her mouth full on, just one gulp.
Okay.
With a giant unhinged jaw with a million teeth.
Minimize the pain. Respect. I get it.
Yeah. But she would be slowly digested in the pit of her stomach.
Yeah, like Jonah.
But she's so big, she's so corpulent that you wouldn't be able to hear the
corpulent. Nice.
You wouldn't be able to hear the cries and moans of agony through her flesh.
Plus, she already just ate a mattress, so that'll muffle any of that.
I mean, sure.
That's what I heard.
Sure.
Can't confirm nor deny, but it's what I've heard.
Nor deny. Well, yeah. I think coming back to scary stories is always, it's become a tradition for us, I guess, at this point, right? Yeah. This is the third time. It's always fun. This one was less drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's a weeknight.
Yeah, it's a school night, so.
Right.
I'm still working on a couple over here. I'm trying.
It's Thursday night, man. I got so much to do tomorrow that it's just I was going for it. I was 3 in. I was like, should I do it? I was like, no, because then tomorrow morning I'll just be off.
Yeah. Well, you had enough fun juice to get some voices going, so that's
yeah.
That's always a plus. Big plus.
It's a good time.
Over here, I always appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I mean, we're in it. We're in spooky season. I hope you guys have your costumes picked out. You better have your houses decorated, because let me tell you something. Around here, people are not decorating their goddamn houses, and it's bumming me out.
It sucks, dude. That is a bummer.
I got a 12-foot skeleton. I got a little graveyard. Got a big pumpkin. I got a scarecrow. I got all these other What are these people doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're more and more going up. You can know who the fanatics are now too around, like, because I've been driving all over because I've been part-timing it over at the old DoorDash, little extra quiche. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I've been going all around. I've been seeing it, man. And like the people that have been putting them up early, I know they are. Oh, yeah. I know who I can vibe with.
Yeah. I feel like this weekend is going to be the decorating weekend for a lot of people.
Probably.
And whoever doesn't have it up by this weekend is not putting anything up.
Yeah. And if they don't, we can, you're allowed to knock on their door.
Yeah. On October 31st.
Oh, yeah.
For candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like directing my kids to go to the houses that are not decorated because the people are just not into it.
Yeah.
But they still get candy most of the time.
You see it? I didn't. You see it?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't decorate. My fucking porch light is off. Why are you knocking?
Candy?
Why aren't you participating, you dick?
Yeah, I'm gonna send someone with that Christmas horse skull.
Oh, the Mary Lloyd.
Yeah, to their fucking house to start singing, and giving them riddles to answer.
Yeah.
And if they don't get them right, he's gonna punch them in the D&B.
Or just have the horse skull fucking say, "Your soul is mine."
Yeah. Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Your soul is mine, and then that's it.
Yep. And you just yell, "Lou!"
While reaching out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You next.
Oh, that guy's a fucking loon, huh?
Oh, that guy's fucking awesome. Cary Tagawa, that guy fucking rules.
Yeah, you could, in the last Mortal Kombat, you could buy his skin and be him if you were Shang Tsung.
You can buy his skin? That's wild.
The skin.
I get it. I know.
Face. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, but that was more Scary Stories Tell the Dark. We're glad it's spooky season. We're glad the weather's breaking. I'm having a kid.
Ken just had a realization, folks.
Yeah. I'm like, God, I'm a nut. I gotta rein this in here. But no,
you're doing fine.
I'm looking forward to terrifying my child with these pictures and these books. Just it's a rite of passage at this point. It was done to me. It's done to my brothers. I was gonna read one story, the It's Him one. But funny story, Rocco, Eddie, my cousin, we would go to the office. My mom worked at her office years ago, and he hated that picture for it, like the pig-headed dude, the severed head.
Yeah.
Photocopied it, put it everywhere in the office. Everywhere. People got there the next day, were probably like, what are these terrorists?
Yeah.
They were like, were there terrorists here? And I don't know if we got in trouble or what, but we left them everywhere to scare them. And it was me, Chris, Eric, Joe Pierce, and I think maybe Robbie Boileau were involved. But yeah, it was a mass effort at the copy machine because we got tired of doing it to our face. They're like, grab the on-hand copy of Scary Stories 3. Let's photocopy.
Which, by the way, folks, everyone should have an on-hand copy of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah. Yes, they should. But guys, welcome to Halloween. We love it. You love it. We want it. You give it.
Yep.
But for this episode of Other Dangerous Podcast, I've been Ken James.
And I've been Jason McKittrick.
As always, have a spooky evening. Thank you for listening to Other Dangerous Podcasts. Have you encountered the other dangers? If so, you can email us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a discussion about the paranormal, you can find us at Other Dangerous Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. There you can find submitted pictures, videos, and artwork from listeners. We are now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are streamed. And after listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the other dangers.